Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, August 30th, 2015. I'm loving Y&R so much more now that the whole murder mystery is solved. Monday's show pretty much gave us the resolution that we were all looking for, and I really felt like I wanted to set it aside in a box and duct tape that box and shove it in a closet and never look at it again, and then just move forward with whatever new storylines are to come and wrapping up the current storylines. I'm just so glad that it's all over. I think it was Monday's show opened up with the big showdown on top of the roof with Paul shooting Detective Harding dead, and he just dies on the spot. It was definitely dramatic. I'm sad to see Harding go. I liked the actor. I thought the character had a lot of potential. So sorry, Detective Harding. Rest in peace. We hardly knew ye. No, really, we actually hardly knew him. Did anybody else notice that Paul was saying, like, put down the gun, Mark? I thought, Mark? Who's Mark? I didn't even know his name was Mark. His name is Mark? Have you ever once heard anyone on Y&R call the guy Mark? Way to give the guy a little bit more of a story. I mean, they didn't give him a first name until the day he died. Way to go, Y&R. Whatever. It's over. Harding dies without really revealing any information, but it doesn't matter because back at the Abbott cabin, Jack and Phyllis and Victor and Marisa are all there just sort of staring over Marco's body. He's tied to that, what was it, a couch bed, a pull-out couch or something? He's just tied to this pull-out couch, his wrists bound, and everyone one by one is kind of getting their chance to take a stab at him, verbally anyway, although almost physically in the case of Phyllis. But Marco just, for absolutely no reason, starts to give away all of the goods about his whole plan. He reveals his association with Harding, why Harding would have helped him. I mean, the whole, he lays it all out. I mean, to the extent of he might as well have said, and I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you kids, you meddling kids. That was totally the vibe that it had. Just at the end of the James Bond movie where the villain ends up revealing his entire master plan for when he doesn't really need to. So whatever. It was boom, 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 wrapped up. I'm not going to complain at all. In fact, I'm not going to complain about any of it because I'm just so glad it happened. Everybody sort of just moves on. Victor arranges to have Marco shipped off back to the Peruvian prison cell from whence he came. And although, certainly everybody that was involved in this had a little bit of repercussion, just a little bit. Marco, it's so weird. It was revealed, Victor said something like he had some goons come in and he had them tote Marco off, and Victor said something cryptic like, and don't worry, I've come up with a way for how we'll always be able to distinguish him. He's going back to the prison cell, but don't worry, if he ever comes back, we'll know which one is the real Jack and which one's the Marco. And it shows a scene of Marco being flown away in a helicopter, and he's got this bloody bandage over the side of his head, which I am assuming it means Victor had someone cut his ear off. That is dark. There was just something about that scene. It almost made me like a little ill. I don't know why, but it was just so stark. Like, oh, I mean, the guy's a bad guy, no doubt about it, but the look on his face as, even though I know it's the same actor, but the look on Marco's face is, just realizing he's been had and in this really humiliating way, and to have lost his ear, just gross. And Victor he continues to get more and more vile. I mean, he has Marco's ear cut off, and then later that day goes to pick out a present for a baby shower. Who's this man? But as I said, pretty much everybody everybody gets gets some repercussions from everything that's gone down. Marco gets his ear cut off. Victor scolds Marisa like she's a fourth grader. It was just so rude the way he was talking down to her, but saying pretty much, I'm going to let you off on good behavior for your association with Marco. And we saw in a preview from next week's show, for Monday's show, I think that he's going to offer her some money to leave town, which I'm sure will kind of give us a little bit more insight into Marissa's character. I'm sure she's going to turn down the money. She's definitely developing real feelings for Noah, and she's not going to want to leave, but she certainly hasn't got off scot-free. She's paid for a lot of what her association with Marco was already. But the thing is, obviously Jack and Phyllis have paid. The only person who hasn't really paid for any of this is Victor, and I think we all know it. I mean, as the series this part of the storyline wrapped up, there's just this sense of, wow, Victor initiated all of this and nothing ended up happening to him. Jack decides not to turn Victor in, again, because he's afraid of going off to a Caribbean jail. So Jack kind of ends up just acquiescing to Victor in that way, and Victor sits square in the middle of all of this mess at the end of the day with no repercussions for anything. There's no doubt about it. This man bringing Marco into the scene led to Austin's death. It led to Courtney's death. And the one thing that Y&R really didn't talk as much about at all was the fact that it ultimately led to Kelly's death. Think of what Victor did to Kelly, using her mental illness to kidnap, to facilitate that part of the plan with Jack's kidnapping. That ended up having her lose her life. Phyllis was raped. I mean, there's just so much bad stuff that came out of this, and it just all rolls off Victor's back like it's no big deal. And I'm not going to focus on it. In fact, I'm putting it in the box in the closet with the duct tape, and I'm not going to think about it too much anymore. Only because, again, I realized it's wrong that Victor got away with this, but at the same time, I don't really want to watch him pay. I'm just ready for it all to be over. Of course, he deserves to pay, and maybe Y&R will work something in somewhere to see Victor get his, but they never do. Victor never gets his, and I'm glad that the whole thing is done. That's good enough for me. Let's just move on. I mean, nobody is really acknowledging what happened with Marco. Phyllis goes back to Genoa City, and she doesn't tell Summer. It still seems like Kevin and Mariah and Noah and Summer and Kyle, they're still trying to put together the pieces of exactly what happened. They heard that Harding is dead, and they don't really know anything about the Marco Anna Sully piece of it. So even though this whole murder mystery started with the Scooby-Doo gang, it doesn't seem like they're going to end up ever really learning the truth. I mean, and Phyllis said that to Summer, like, well, just drop it. I don't think we'll ever really know what Harding's motives were, even though Phyllis knows more than she's letting on. Marisa does not turn around and tell Noah anything, which I don't know if that's ultimately going to play a role in breaking up their relationship at all. I'm just wondering if it's not going to be addressed. Like, is it truly over? And I guess if so, yay. Gosh. Okay, speaking of Marisa, I have to say this here because several people have mentioned this to me over the course of the past week, and it's been weighing on me, nagging on me through the entire week's show. Have you guys noticed how Marisa has absolutely no Spanish accent anymore? It is driving me crazy. There are definitely some times where I will listen to the show. Like I'll be listening to the show and maybe doing something else with my hands. There have been more than one time where I've done that this week, and I can't tell who it is talking on the screen because it's Marisa, and she doesn't sound like Marisa because she's just, the accent is magically gone. So is Marissa's accent just gonna get put in the box with the duct tape on it in the closet? Is Liner just gonna slowly let that slip away? Because she seems like she's talking like she's a total California girl right now. Like she might as or I don't know, or like she was born and bred in Genoa City. Like she might as well have just gone to school with Summer and Abby. Sharon was so distraught over the idea that Dylan would have been shot during the big standoff with Harding that she had a miscarriage. I knew that was coming. I just happened to notice that the way Sharon had a full body convulsion at the point where she heard the gunshots, I knew that cannot be good. Sure enough, she goes to the hospital and we hear the OB/GYN telling her that she had a miscarriage, which is so very sad. I feel awful for Sharon. That's not what I wanted for her, but at the same time, I think we all were kind of guessing that she was probably never really going to carry to term. So it's sad for her. It's sad for Dylan. I mean, this guy thinks that he's going to be a father. He's excited to start this life with her. In fact, he even offers to give up his dream of becoming a cop. He tells Paul, no, sorry, I'm gonna be a new father. I don't want to do anything to put myself in danger. I'm sure you understand. So I'm just gonna not join the police force. Instead, I'm gonna settle down with this life that I'm building with Sharon. And he even asks her to marry him. I'm kind of surprised that that didn't happen a couple of weeks ago. Of course, they were waiting so that this whole pot could boil up at the same time. And so Sharon's getting home from learning that she had a miscarriage conveniently at the same time that, you know, she gets home to hear Dylan's proposal, and she accepts the proposal, but she can't bring herself to tell him the truth, which is such a disappointment. I mean, it's predictable, but at the same time, I feel bad that Sharon's put in this position, and I feel bad that this is the choice that she's decided to make. I mean, I think I almost throughout the course of the week have been able to really read what Sharon is feeling right on the front of her face. I think it's a mix of a lot of different emotions. I think Sharon feels like maybe if she wasn't pregnant with his child, that it might make a difference in their relationship, because she has been paranoid in the past that he was only with her because of the pregnancy. And when she found out she was pregnant, she was saying, don't be with me just because of this. Are you saying that you love me just because? Are you moving in here just because I'm pregnant? I mean, I think she definitely has a paranoia or an insecurity about their relationship, but also it's become clear that she is also very afraid of taking away Dylan's chance of being a father. She has this nightmare this past week where Dylan's all happy there with his baby in his arms, and all of a sudden the baby disappears and he doesn't have that, and he's wondering where the child is. So I think Sharon's motivation here is selfish, but it's also selfless in that she thinks she is saving Dylan from this pain, and it's really apparent just on the looks on her face and her actions. She's clearly weighing the impact of the truth versus the lie. How will it impact him if he learns that I'm not pregnant? He's gonna have to suffer this loss, versus what if I can just cover this up? What if there's a way that I can get around this? She makes a beeline for her doctor to ask, how soon can I get pregnant again? Like, her plan is to get pregnant again right away. Don't let him notice. Don't let anybody notice. I'm gonna just pretend like that didn't happen, and I'm just gonna get pregnant again, and nobody's going to be the wiser. And I don't think that's gonna end up happening. I don't think it's gonna be that easy. I'm worried that that's only her initial plan, and that the backup plan is gonna be to continue to fake the pregnancy. I mean, full on, I don't know if she's gonna wear a pillow or what. I mean, it's so soapy, isn't it? I mean, can you even think of anything more classic soap than a woman trying to pretend that she's pregnant with a man's child? I mean, how many times has that story been told? And it's a little bit funny. I hate that it might potentially happen to Sharon, but it's so very, very classic. I can almost see her, walking around with a pregnancy pillow and trying to pass it off. But at the same time, she does have people in her life that are keeping a close eye on her. Noah is very concerned. He's realizing that some of the signs and symptoms of her bipolar are slowly starting to creep up, and we know that she's not taking her medication. It was a one scene months ago of Sharon dumping those pills right into the trash, and we've known that it was coming. We've known something crazy was coming, and I think that's where we are. I was a little bit happy or relieved to see that she decided to confide in Mariah about the whole thing. It really is an interesting relationship. People have mentioned it to me, several times, sort of characterizing it as Mariah taking on that motherly role, and Sharon almost seems like the daughter. Like Sharon is the less stable one, and she's the one that's in need of the advice. And I loved the moment. It was in the park at night, Sharon's sitting on a bench, crying, feeling awful. Mariah's got her own reasons for feeling awful. The mother and daughter come together, and by the way, it's a relationship that just hasn't been developed. So it needed to happen. We need to see Mariah and Sharon having a relationship. How miraculous is it that Sharon was able to get her daughter back? A daughter that was stole from her and in a way feels like she's getting a part of Cassie back. I mean, Cassie's death is such a deep part of Sharon's life and of her personality, and it was incredibly impactful to her. And to have Mariah, Cassie's twin, back in her life, it has to be at the very core, the very essence of who Sharon is, and Y&R just doesn't focus on it at all. So I was happy to see that these two women coming together in the park and actually opening up and actually talking, and Sharon realizing that she needed to confide in someone, and that someone was Mariah. I loved that. That's a relationship that needs building. Sharon needs to have somebody to talk to really, really talk to. And of course, it should be Dylan, but at the same time, Sharon needs a friend. I mean, it is so weird, isn't it? How Sharon is just not motherly with Mariah. She's barely really motherly with Noah. There's just something about her where that's kind of seems like it's fallen away. And even the Sharon-Mariah relationship is more of like a kind of friendship, if anything. Part of me is thinking that maybe Mariah can talk her into not doing the crazy thing that she's on the verge of doing, but another part of me thinks there's just no way that this is where the drama is going to be. Something big is going to happen, and not Mariah, not Noah, not Dylan, nobody's going to be able to stop the crazy train. As we all know, I mean, we've all been on this crazy train before. So Mariah has, for now, just tried to coach Sharon. She really hasn't tried to bust her out about it. And in fact, later on the next day, the two women had a conversation about it, and Sharon is kind of indicating that, to Mariah, that her plan is just to get pregnant again real quick and hope nobody notices. And Mariah says, I'm going to keep your secret for right now, but you need to talk about this. I mean, this isn't necessarily going to work. You need to be honest with Dylan. And I just don't think Sharon has any plans of doing that. I think she's probably going to use that relationship with Mariah to keep her secret and to help her cover up her secret. I think Mariah is probably going to, unfortunately, get roped into this lie of Sharon's, whether she wants to or not. But I don't think it's ultimately going to work. I kind of feel like we're going toward a stolen baby sort of thing. Like, I don't think Sharon's just going to be able to turn around and get pregnant right away. I see it more ending in Sharon attempting to steal Sage's baby after it's born. And we're seeing little hints of Noah talking about how Sharon freaked out with Nick marrying anybody else, having anybody else's child, and I think those are the seeds that are going to be planted for down the road. And for this week, for this little short term, I think Sharon's plans to try real hard to conceive again, as if everyone wouldn't notice a 2 or 3 month difference in her due date. I mean, Sharon was not all that far along behind Sage, and Sage has this big old belly already. I did enjoy Sage's baby shower. It was an interesting mix of sweetness and supportiveness and cattiness and uncomfortableness. It was definitely a little bit fun. Of course, nobody was really happy to see Sharon there, and I'm sure she wouldn't have been there if it weren't for her connection with Dylan, Nikki's son. But everybody realizes that Sharon and Dylan are engaged, and it was, the look on Nikki and Victoria's face was, of course, priceless. I wish I could screen cap that for this week. It was pretty good. And I think it's just going to end up adding more fuel to Sharon's fire. The fact that everybody's kind of waiting for her to fall flat on her face. I think it's going to make her even more determined to pass off whatever she's needing to pass off. But I felt really happy for Nick and Sage, even though that baby could still be Adam's. I mean, as happy as Nick and Sage are this week, there's still a ticking time bomb inside of her. The DNA test said that the baby's a Newman, and that's all. And I think that once, I wonder how long it'll take after Adam's identity is revealed for that to dawn on Nick or anybody else. And I mean, Sage is, I think, trying really hard to feel very secure, but she has got to know that it still could very much be Adam's baby, and that the DNA test results meant nothing. And all of this love and all of this support that Nikki and Victoria and everyone in the Newman family, even Victor, are giving her right now is all going to be blown to pieces. Nick is going to hate her for this lie. The family's going to hate her for this lie, and they're going to come at her for that baby with everything that they've got, especially Victor. So Sage is feeling really comfortable right now, saying, even going in so far as to tell Nick that she really likes his family and she appreciates how close they are and how involved they are in his life. And I'm thinking, girlfriend, you are going to regret that. They are going to fight you tooth and nail to get that child away from you. I feel bad, really, really bad for her, because I don't think she has any idea what she's getting herself into. Ooh. So this week, the thing is, Nick knows what being part of the Newman clan is all about. And after the whole baby shower thing and just having this much exposure to his family, when he's tried really hard to step back and not be a part of all of the drama for years, I think this much of the Newman clan was too much for Nick, and he decided, you know what, that's enough of my mom and dad. Let's quickie this wedding along a little bit. We don't need to have the big shebang with everybody there. Let's just get married tonight. So, wow, Nick and Sharon, ooh, that was a Freudian slip. Nick and Sage just got married. Again, it feels like so very quick, almost like the bottom's gonna fall out of this whole thing soon. It's almost like the quicker it all moves along, the quicker I think the ultimate demise is gonna be. And maybe Y&R needed to marry Nick and Sage before the next step comes along, which is the reveal of Adam's identity, because that's gotta have an impact. But I will say, I loved the wedding, and it definitely has that sense of doom cast over it, but I put it aside and I really got into Nick and Sage's wedding. I thought it was beautiful. Apparently Kyle is a minister. What a joke. I mean, what an absolute freaking joke. They're throwing together this quickie wedding, and out of nowhere Kyle chimes in, oh, hey, by the way, I'm a minister, and I also just so happen to be ordained to perform marriages in Wisconsin. So it's so ridiculous. Y&R, Kyle, really? You could have had somebody else. I wish anybody else would have spoken up and said, oh, I'm a minister. Anybody but Kyle. I don't know if they just needed an excuse to have him there, but if he starts performing weddings all across Genoa City, I'm gonna scream, because it was just dumb. It was just so dumb. That's another character that Y&R needs to work on building, because I'm not connecting in. I believe him as Jack's son. I think he fits on the canvas really well, but I got no sense of who he is at all. But I tried to put that aside. Kyle was the worst part of the whole wedding, for me anyway. Everything else I thought was beautiful. I loved that it was a nice night wedding. I mean, we only had two choices for where to have this thing. Rooftop bar, where we just had a wedding, so we can't do that again, or Chancellor Park, or I suppose we could have had it at one of the mansions, but it certainly wasn't going to be at the Tack House. They went with Chancellor Park. I thought it was nice. I liked the way the scene was set. It was certainly a little bit of bad luck considering Nick's last wedding at Chancellor Park didn't exactly go as planned, but this one did. I loved the way that they had the set decorated. You got the sense that it was a outdoor night, like a warm summer evening with some breeze. They had these white paper bags, like, you know, like the equivalent of a brown lunch sack, but it was white, and they had these pretty decals cut out of it, and they had candles sitting down in the bag, so it was kind of like lit and flickering, and it was very minimalist. I mean, I know we miss our big splashy soap weddings, and we kind of got that a little bit with Devon and Hillary. I think, why doesn't Minor do that anymore? It can only be because the sheer volume of weddings on the show, maybe they don't have the budget to really go all in. The sheer volume of weddings and the fact that none of the marriages ever end up lasting. I mean, people get married and break up in the course of a year. It's so rare that anybody even stays together. So they don't really go all out for the weddings, but I thought it was nice and quaint, and it kind of worked because Sage doesn't strike me as someone who is interested in the big splashy wedding, so I liked it being low-key. I loved Nick's outfit. I thought Nick looked really, really good, really cool. It was kind of this medium gray suit and a charcoal tie. He looked slick. He looked like he probably smelled real good. Oh, he had his cologne on, maybe some aftershave. He looked nice. I loved the boutonniere that he was wearing. It was this like single peach rose with these other little peach buds around it, and it was wrapped in white lace, and it kind of matched the sort of antique lace look of Sage's dress, which I thought was also beautiful. I thought she looked beautiful. Didn't care as much for the hair, but I did really like the dress. It was kind of cut out in the back too, so it was, you know, classic and kind of becoming for a pregnant woman. She looked nice. There was more peach and white in her flower bouquet. The whole thing seemed very summery and very breezy, and I liked the flowers. Obviously, I like the set, and I just think Sage is so cute. I believed her vows. I mean, they're standing there saying how they feel about one another, and Sage is talking about how she's someone who really didn't know what love felt like, and I think she doesn't really know what it's like to be loved by a man, but also to be a part of a family. I mean, all of those feelings are new to her, and she's telling that to Nick, saying, now I know what it feels like, and I just believed her. I believed that she was sincere. Nick's vows were a little bit funny, of course, saying that, you know, stepping into that bear trap was the best thing that ever happened to him. That was funny. I forgot that was the first moment that they met. Yeah, so it was a little bit of a laugh there, and it was also a little bit of a laugh watching freaking Kyle standing up there in front of everybody talking about the struggles of marriage and the things that these two people are gonna have to go through. I just kept thinking, what does this kid know about marriage or about anything? I mean, it was absolutely a farce watching him officiate this wedding. Would you ever let a 22-year-old, I'm assuming, somewhere in that range, snot-nosed brat marry you? Ever? I can't even, like, maybe you could marry your little friends if they decided to do a college wedding or something. Fine, you go officiate for your little college friends. But stay out of the big boy, big girl wedding arena, okay? Because nobody's buying it from you, Kyle. I swear. I didn't believe a word that was coming out of his mouth. Although, I did kind of love the idea of the box that he had. He had this sort of oak, whatever, wooden box, and he put in a copy of Nick and Sage's vows and a bottle of wine and 2 glasses and said, that's kind of become a, what do you call it, like a memory box or a time capsule. And in 50 years, when you guys celebrate your 50-year anniversary, you're going to open up this box and drink the wine. And I just thought that was such a nice touch. And I'm not going to lie, I totally cried. Not at that part specifically. Kyle had nothing to do with it. But just like then Nick and Sage go back to the tack house. I don't even think we've ever seen his bedroom before. There was a little horsey on the nightstand and they just start kissing and making love. And I thought I totally teared up throughout the whole thing, which was surprising to me. But I do like this couple. I believe this couple has good intentions, but there is a very, very fundamental lie between them. So again, kind of like Devon and Hillary in that way. I think we're getting the good stuff, and then later it's all going to get busted up. Although I also I'm kind of wondering if anybody else was completely shocked and surprised that Sharon didn't end up stumbling into the ceremony and breaking the whole thing up. I love Kevin and Mariah. They're such a good couple, and I was really glad that YNR allowed us to have a moment to focus on these two, focus on this couple, and especially since it was side by side with Nick and Sage's wedding. So as those two are getting married, we're seeing Mariah and Kevin back at the club, just talking, Mariah feeling really betrayed or by the fact that she wasn't invited to the wedding, and just, I kind of thought Nick was, I was part of the family and I wasn't invited, although nobody was really invited. He had a very small people there, really only his kids, so it was certainly a small affair, but Mariah's kind of feeling left out and also thinking about, I'm sure, her own father figure, Ian, and maybe what she thought her wedding day was going to be like. I don't know. Certainly Kevin is thinking about his terrible past and his terrible father figure. I mean, these two characters have so much in common. They have so much trouble in their past and just pain in their past, and it's nice to see them being offbeat. That they don't have to be a Barbie and Ken type love story. Mariah and Kevin are weirdos in love, and I really like that their relationship has gone slow. I would like more of it. I would like to see more Kevin and Mariah, and although I'd rather see less if it means the YNR is going to just blow through it and rush through it, because soap marriages, soap relationships are so rushed these days. And now here's a relationship between Kevin and Mariah that I'm ready to really enjoy. And I think that when Kevin and Mariah finally do get married, I'm kind of assuming that somewhere down the road they're gonna maybe explore this romantic relationship. I'm hoping that it's gonna get to the point of full-blown love and marriage and the whole shebang. And when they finally stand there at the altar and say their vows, it's gonna really mean something because we've been along the journey with them. So that's something I'm excited to see, although hopefully not too soon. Did YNR just rename the rooftop bar the dive bar? Or has it always been like that? Because I noticed this week that they showed a decal on the door of the rooftop bar that said dive bar. And there was a couple different things. And I thought, I don't think I saw that before. It's kind of a great idea considering the pool's up there, and we saw Abby swimming and Stitch and Ashley, and there was a little confrontation there between those three, and I thought, well, hey, that's clever. So, okay, what do we think about Abby and Ashley and Stitch? How do you feel about this? Because I'm not sure. I mean, Stitch and Abby seem like such an unlikely and really just truly mismatched couple. And I thought over the course of the past couple weeks that they were getting ready to break up. I thought YNR was just doing a quickie breakup, and then we were going to see Ashley and Stitch together lickety split. But now, all of a sudden, Abby and Stitch are starting to connect again. He's moving in with her. I don't know. I mean, they're not the couple that I want to see, but to be honest, I don't know that I really want to see Ashley and Stitch together at this point, only because the mother-daughter triangle is so gross. We just got out of a father-son triangle with Hillary and Neil and Devon, and it's unappealing. I don't want to see a mother and daughter fighting over a man. So if I have to sacrifice Ashley and Stitch being together, that's okay with me. And I think we're gonna end up seeing Abby and Ashley fighting over more than just Stitch. I guess that's what we're building toward. The Newman versus Jabot feud is alive and thriving. I think Kyle called it Newman versus Abbott 2.0 or something like that this week, and I thought, kid, just get off my screen right now, because 2.0, talk about like Newman versus Abbott, like 106.432. Like, this is not the second time around, only maybe for you. The Newman versus Jabot feud has been around long before you were ever born. So I don't know why I'm trashing on Kyle this week. He ticked me off becoming an ordained minister out of nowhere. Shoot. So anyway, Newman versus Jabot, and who'd have thought it, but Abby's stuck right in the middle. Would you ever have thought that now that the company's being, the merger's over and the companies are going to be their own two separate entities again, Abby's the only one of them that's a crossover. She's both a Newman and an Abbott, so both sides are kind of fighting over who's going to end up where she's going to work, and she of course ends up choosing her father and choosing to work at Newman because that's where she's been given the most autonomy. And I actually do feel like Y&R's doing a better job of showing us who the Abby 2.0 is. I mean, we know Abby as the fun and flirty naked heiress, but we haven't gotten to see this side of her as a serious business person. And I think she kind of made the right choice, because if she's gonna stay at Newman, she's gonna be able to show a little bit more of her chops. And I'm trying really hard to be more tolerant of her, because she's not my favorite character. She really isn't. There's not a whole lot that I can connect with her on, but I think if Y&R really focuses on her a little bit, maybe there will be. We're certainly going to see, if she's at Newman, I think we're going to continue to see Abby and Victoria potentially butt heads a little bit. It's going to be one or the other. Either going to be friends or they're going to be enemies. But certainly we're going to start to see major discord between Abby and Ashley. This whole breaking up of the two companies has put Abby and Ashley on two totally opposite sides of the fence in more ways than one now. Strangely, at the end of Friday's show, Jack finally offered Ashley a co-CEO position at Jabot, which blew my mind, considering that's all she's ever wanted since the day she came back to Genoa City, and Jack just offers it to her on a silver platter. I wonder if Ashley's going to turn it down, because we were sort of starting to see a change in Ashley's character. She was connecting with Stitch on sort of that human level about the patient that he lost. And then Stitch scolded her a little bit for putting business above personal. And I think Ashley realized that that's all she's done her entire life. And what she really wants is to focus on people and to focus on relationships. And I think as much as maybe a different version of Ashley would have wanted that co-CEO position more than anything, I think now maybe she's realizing that she wants something entirely else. Her daughter's boyfriend, Adam, goes off on his own and decides to buy a house in Paris for he and Chelsea and Connor to live in happily ever after. Problem is, he didn't really approve that with Chelsea beforehand, and she was not at all happy about that. I mean, you could tell she's constantly getting mad at him, because he will go off on his own and he will do what he wants to do, and you can act like maybe you can control him, but you can't. And that's sort of the appeal of him, Chelsea. He's gonna go off and he's gonna do his own thing, and it's gonna tick you off, and you either kind of accept that you're with Adam Newman or you don't. She ultimately decides, all right, fine, we'll buy a house here in Paris. I can even set up shop here. I can start to, work my line here here from Paris. We can just live happily ever after. And she agrees to go forward with buying this house. They do a little interview with the nice French lady who's selling a home, and she wants to meet with them first, specifically to make sure that they're a nice couple who's going to take over ownership of a house that she shared with her husband and the house where she raised her family. And I felt so bad for this nice French lady, thinking that, you know, her happy home, her happy family home was going to a nice calm couple, and that's not who you're gonna get. I mean, there's just something so false to me about Adam and Chelsea trying to convince this lady, and it was lightly, but sort of trying to convince her that yes, we're gonna take this home and take good care of it and be very happy there. And I just thought, this relationship, although I love out Adam and Chelsea together, it's never going to be a nice, quiet, calm relationship. There's always going to be a drama and an element of vengefulness or greed or something. There's always a little bit of insidious, no matter where Adam ends up going. So it was a little bit strange watching them try to convince, but just as they got the house, she agrees to give it to them. They're ready to start building their brand new life in Paris. Chelsea gets a phone call from Billy about the whole merger thing that's going down. Even though the two companies are breaking up, Victor has decided to make a point of contention over who gets to keep Chelsea by Jabot. Well, you would think it would be Jabot, but Victor, of course, because Connor is his grandson. Again, that's a little preview, a little flash to what Sage has in store. Somebody needs to show her a booklet or something about what's about to happen to her. But Victor decides that he wants to keep this line in-house so that he can keep Chelsea close, so that he can keep Connor close, so that he can rally anybody that has a semblance of Newman, a modicum of Newman in or around them, just rallying the troops, I suppose. But she seems like she doesn't really even care. I mean, Billy's telling her this, and she's thinking, well, I'm gonna be fine either way. I'm focused on my family. We've just, Adam and I have just made this commitment to one another. We're gonna live here in Paris. But the second that Adam finds out that this is what's going down, that Victor's trying to take Chelsea's line, he flips out. He flips the script. Everything changes. Adam is not about to let Victor get his grubby hands on Chelsea's company. I mean, Chelsea has built this company from the ground up. I mean, he even said that. Adam even said those lines. It's so interesting how much Victor and Adam hate each other, and yet there are similarities, certainly. But he totally twists it and ends up making the whole thing about him. I mean, it's really about Chelsea and her business, and it should be her decision. And he really pushes hard, convincing her that she needs to go back to Genoa City and fight for her line. But it's not really about Chelsea. It is still about the rivalry with Victor. Chelsea was fine with it all. So I felt surprised by that. I don't know why, but it's just like, I don't know, to me, it was strange that Adam would let this issue with business and Victor deter him from what he's always wanted, what he's been trying to build up for all of these past few months. He's just wanted Chelsea. We've been kind of led by him to believe that that's the only thing he wants, that he'd do anything just to be married to her, just to be able to raise his family, and to be as far away from all of the drama in Genoa City as possible. And that's, in that moment, he totally turns against that. He completely changes. I thought Chelsea was more important than anything Victor was going to throw at them, and clearly that's not the case. And herein lies the interest that I have with Adam's character. I think Adam is constantly being torn between love and hate. That's the very essence of who he is. He loves Chelsea so much more than anything, except there's this one little thing. There's this one little thing. And not necessarily that he would choose it over her, but he can't stop reaching for that one little apple, that one little jewel, that one little thing that he wants to accomplish, which is one-upping his father or getting getting it over on his father, or getting revenge on Victor. And I think it's what makes him interesting. I think what makes him one of the more complex characters on the show. So it's good to watch. I shouldn't be surprised, because obviously something was going to break up this happy moment. They were never just going to go live in Paris forever. So they decided to go back to Genoa City to let Chelsea make her choice, that she doesn't want to work for Newman Enterprises. She wants her line to remain housed at Gibeau. So there's this big meeting where all of the Newmans and all of the Abbotts gather in Victor's office, and Chelsea, with Gabriel, in quotes, marches into the room, and she announces that she wants to be at Gibeau. Oh, but Victor has other plans. Victor reveals that part of the original merger contract, and by the way, I loved Victoria's coldness. She grabs a folder and she says, "Could you pass these out to everyone?" And it's a copy of the original merger contract. And she knows exactly what's up. Victoria was just so cold and awesome in that scene. I didn't want to forget to mention that. But in the original merger contract, it said that if there were any divisions of Newman Abbott that were to be disputed upon splitting up, then it would be settled by some kind of silent bidding. So the two companies have to submit an anonymous bid, and Chelsea has to choose which one she wants to go with. So it ignites this short-lived, I'm glad it didn't drag out, bidding war about the two companies, but it's anonymous. So Chelsea has to take a bid from Victor and a bid from Jack and figure out which one it is so that she can end up going with Gibeau. And she's got, Adam in her ear saying, "I know Victor, I think he," and ultimately probably saying, "Well, he might bid low, thinking that we would think that was Gibeau's and choose that one, because Newman obviously has more money." So she, it's this kind of heated little waiting moment while Chelsea's trying to make this decision. And of course, she ultimately, unknowingly, picks the bid that Victor submitted, which, it makes total sense. I'm glad that that's what happened, because where would be the conflict if she hadn't picked Victor's bid? So, the next big reveal is going to end up being Adam's seething hatred for Victor, and Victor learning that his dead son is still very much alive and still under his nose, and I think that having both Chelsea and Gabe involved, right under the Newman roof, it's what's ultimately going to facilitate that. So that's the next big reveal. And so I'm kind of thinking that maybe Victor's going to get more close to Gabe and somehow figure it out. I don't know, because there's really no way out of it. The very end of this storyline for the week revealed Chelsea was saying, I don't want to be at Newman. I'm going to dispute this, and I'll just leave. I'll leave you with this part of the line, and I'll go off and start another business. And Victor says, "Oh, no, you won't. As a matter of fact, when you signed your contract with this company, you signed a non-compete clause. So she can't go off and work somewhere else." She could certainly just decide, "I'm walking away from it all, and I'm just going to go live happily ever after with the love of my life and my son, and not work in the fashion industry anymore." But we know that's not going to happen. She's stuck. She's going to have to stay and fight for her line with Newman. And it was so Victor has to be heavy-handed with everything. The very last line I think he said to her was, "You're not going anywhere. I own Chelsea Lawson." Ooh, he is why is he such a villain? Man, there was no point in using any honey to catch this fly. Oh no, he owns Chelsea Lawson, and she's stuck there, and damn well that Adam's not gonna let that go down without a fight. I'm loving the Hillary mystery storyline so much more than I thought I would. I don't know why, but it took a twist that I wasn't expecting, and now I love it. Hillary is missing. Michael and Lily make a trip to see Devon. Michael is his lawyer, and Lily is the only one who knows the truth about this affair that Devon had, and she's trying to find out, could Hillary have found out about that? Is there any chance you guys did argue? Lily's trying to ferret out the truth, while Devon, if he had any hair, is pulling pulling it out of his head. You know, everybody thinks that he killed his wife. He's kind of under a house arrest in this hotel room. He's got, you know, not only the suspicion that's on him, but the worry about where the love of his life is, where his brand new wife is. Is she out there? Is she hurt? Is she dead? You know, what is it? He's just filled with nothing but anxiety. Meanwhile, Neil is back in Genoa City acting like nothing happened. Like, oh, I have no idea. When we saw a flashback from his point of view where after she storms off, he hears a scream. So it seems to be that, I don't know, maybe Neil didn't specifically have anything to do with her disappearing. I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe she's playing them all. I don't know. I'm not sure what the mystery is going to end up being, because they found her shoe with blood on it, and I think next week they're gonna see that it's Devon's blood or something. I guess maybe I spaced out a little bit on that part of it, but I mean the implication is that Hillary is gone. I mean they're considering her like a missing person, or they're starting a recovery mission to try to get her back, knowing that she's possibly dead. And Devon is ready to blow his lid. He ends up pushing a cop and getting arrested, and it's gone from really, really bad to worse. And back in Genoa City, Neil is also like denying Victor's help for getting Devon a really good lawyer or anything like that. I mean, it's like this is going completely accordingly to plan for Neil. Thank goodness Nikki has figured out that Neil is acting squirrely, and that he was out of town conveniently at the time that all of this went down. Okay, let's read some of your comments. Consuela on YouTube says, I don't understand why they didn't ask the eyewitness for a description of the guy that they saw Hillary arguing with on the cliff, because Neil and Devon look nothing alike. Neil has hair and Devon doesn't. Enough said. I agree. It gets kind of a hole in the story, right? This is from Tawny on YouTube. It says, where's my Jess Walton? I miss the old battle axe, as she used to call Catherine. I hope she's returning soon. I like that comment because it didn't even occur to me at Devon and Hillary's wedding that Jill wasn't there. Why didn't I think of that? I'm sure that Jess Walton is off probably enjoying retirement. I think she's got grandkids, and I'm sure and I think she moved. I don't think she lives around the set anymore, so I'm sure she's off enjoying life, but it would have been nice to see her at Devon's wedding. Aaron on YouTube says, I think the cop guy and Neil are working together. I think that's the Caribbean cop. He was coming off way too suspicious, and it seems like he was trying to make Devon look guilty of killing Hillary. I bet you him and Neil are working together to set up Devon for killing Hillary, and Hillary is really being held captive somewhere on the island while the cops harass Devon for the next couple of weeks. I think it's all part of Neil's revenge, and that Hillary has just suddenly gone missing. It's part of Neil's revenge that she's gone missing. I love that twist theory, and the other twist theory that I heard, and I don't know who said it. I went and looked back through my YouTube comments and I couldn't find it again, but someone else I think had suggested that maybe Hillary is setting both Devon and Neil up, that she's disappeared and she's kind of fine letting everybody believe that something happened to her. I don't know if that necessarily is consistent with Hillary's character, but I kind of like the idea that Neil's not really worried about Hillary and Devon because he knows what happened. I don't know what the scream would have been that he heard. He certainly could have heard anything. I mean, she could have screamed for any number of reasons. She could have screamed because Neil had somebody down there to nab her and kidnap her, as Aaron suggested. So there's still a lot of I think time left on this. That I read just last week, I think, or the week before, that the actress had her baby. She had a baby a little bit early, but I think she's probably enjoying being a new mom now. I don't know how soon we're gonna get her back on the show, but it's got to be a good couple months. I would say, before we get to the bottom of this. And on Monday's show, I think we see Devon get like arrested or sent back to the island, or almost, or that's the implications. I don't know. I got no theories on the whole missing Hillary situation. I think it's kind of open to debate at this point. Aunt Daisy on Facebook says, I'm so over Victor getting away with everything he has done, and now he wants to manipulate Chelsea so he can get his hands on her son. Another Newman to manipulate. I can see Adam flipping out because of this and telling Victor he's not Gabe, but Adam. Adam and Chelsea will never get to Paris if that happens, though. I was so hoping for a lovely Paris wedding, but Adam is never going to allow Victor to get his family. I never thought about Chelsea and Adam getting married in Paris. That would have been kind of good. Boy, we got a lot of weddings, though, right now, don't we? Katie on Facebook says, well, it turns out that even soap weddings make me cry. The ones that actually happen, of course. I was glad to read that comment from Katie, because I was like tearing up watching Nick and Sage's wedding, and I thought, I'm probably the only one that's crying at this. So now I know that I'm not. Connor called in and left me a voicemail. Back from Barcelona. Welcome back from your vacation. So good to hear your voice, Connor. Send me some pictures. Connor says, Kyle Abbott officiates weddings now. Really? Did I miss something? No, you did not, while you were on your vacation, miss some kind of magic scene where Kyle got officiated. Let me just tell you, it happened out of the clear blue, and it couldn't be more annoying. Michelle called into my voicemail and said, I'm angry with Nick. Why wasn't Mariah invited to the wedding when Marisa was there? Yeah, I know. It was an awkward moment when Noah I guess Nick invited Marisa because Noah was there and that's his girlfriend, and he was trying to do something for Noah. But it was weird that Marisa was there at all, and certainly strange that Nick has sort of reached out to Mariah and said, you can think of me like a father, and then his other kids are there and she's kind of left out in the cold. I like this comment from Gary this week on my voicemail. He says, Marisa seems too sophisticated to be hanging out with the Scooby-Doo gang. She looks out of place. And I was thinking that the entire week. There's just something about Marisa that doesn't fit in with the cast she's kind of thrown in with. I think that Marisa and Noah make a really awesome couple. I like them. I'm feeling the heat. 110%, but I think we need to separate Noah and Marisa out sort of into more adult world. I appreciate that Summer's his sister, but we need to break up the Scooby-Doo gang, and certainly Marisa doesn't fit into it at all. Nippy Fan called into my voicemail and made a very good point. Why hasn't Y&R said anything about Sharon and Adam's relationship? I mean, Sharon and Adam were supposed to have this deep, deep love, and I love and remember Sharon and Adam. I was a big Sharon and Adam fan and still am, and it is weird that Y&R hasn't touched on that at all. I mean, there have been very few interactions between Sharon and Adam since the recast, and why aren't they kind of maybe chemistry testing them again? I mean, I think the fans remember Sharon and Adam. That was probably the first love of his life, and he, switched over and fell in love with Chelsea, and I'm fine. I love them together now, but what do you guys think? Would you want to see maybe a triangle between Sharon and Adam and Chelsea? And if not a love triangle, would you want to see kind of a friendship? Because it's a little bit sad that friendship and support is not there anymore. Dana8 on YouTube says, so Y&R's just going to glaze over the fact that Dylan has been diagnosed with PTSD, which would ultimately prevent him from ever becoming a cop. I love that comment because I never would have thought of that. I completely forgot about that. I mean, there's just no shortage of ridiculousness when it comes to Dylan being named a cop, and everybody has been commenting about it all over the place. Lot Folly at yrchat.com commented, Dylan has at least as much training as Paul had before his transition from gumshoe to police chief. I love that. that too, because it is true. I mean, I guess I should let it go, because on some level, it is the exact same scenario as with Paul. I'm sure I complained about it then. You don't just go from being a private detective to the chief of police because your dad was the chief of police. Anna left a voicemail also that said, in New York State, a person has to go to police academy for 6 months. They have to get a degree in criminal justice, that's preferred, and you have to pass a police exam. So it's just another instance of, hey, YNR, it's like, I'll take a leap. Like, I will take any leap that you ask me to do if you lead me there. Don't just like shove me into, shove my suspension of disbelief out of the way. Don't like shove me into the deep end of the pool and make me believe something that's so incredibly farcical. I mean, just in the span of out of nowhere, Dylan's a cop and Kyle's an ordained minister? Okay, I'm so excited about this. The results of my Soap for Soap fans giveaway. Now, if you missed it last week, I am doing a little giveaway, let me grab it, of one of my handmade bars of soap. This is scented in sweet orange chili pepper, and one of you guys is gonna get it sent to you by me. I'm so excited, and I'm so just grateful to everybody that emailed me this week and expressed interest. It's like almost overwhelming how cool and nice you guys are, and just all of the love. I just feel it, and I just feel so grateful to have YNR chat and so many people that actually care, to maybe have a little something that I made, and that you would want that to be in your home and in your life. It just kills me. I mean, you guys are amazing. Bobby, special thanks. Super nice email. Henry, Christy, Gina, Brina, Althea, Julie, Astra, Aaron, Maria, Connor, Michelle sent me this incredibly touching email. It really teared me up. Emily sent a message, like, all of you guys, just thank you. And I've got all of your names. Let's see, I wrote them all down on little slips of paper, and I'm gonna drop them into this bowl here and pick a winner. Mix it up. I want to make sure I really fold this in. Okay, building the suspense. I should go ahead and swirl these around forever and ever. Okay, but I won't. I should drag this out for like 6 months. What do you think? No, I'll be good. All right, here's the bowl. I've got all your names on it, and I'm gonna pick one. Okay, let's go deep. Go deep. Here's the one I want. All right. The winner is, you ready? Brina B. Yeah! That's so awesome. I'm so excited, Brina. I'm going to send you a bar of soap that's going to knock your socks off because it smells so good. I can just sit here and smell it all day. But I'm gonna package it up real nice for you, so you'll get a little surprise. I won't show you, so you can be surprised. So I will email you to get your address if you didn't already send it to me, and I'll put your package into the mail Monday or Tuesday, depending on how quickly I hear back from you. And if you didn't win, please don't be disappointed, because I love making, I make soap, I make lotions, I make lip balms, I got all kinds of stuff, and I know I've got some more in my stash. It actually takes 4 to 6 weeks for me to fully cure a bar of soap, and I've got some that I think is going to be ready, that's going to be done curing probably by next week. So don't be disappointed if you didn't win, because I've got more soap, and I love that I can just give this to you now. That actually makes me happy. I always end up giving it to my mom, or just selling a little bit of it here or there or whatever. So I'm glad that so many of you people expressed interest in it. I think maybe we'll do another giveaway maybe next week. So check back at the end of next week's video, and maybe we'll do another quick giveaway. If you have any ideas for like cute ways we could do entries or something like that, I'm all ears. I think Soap for Soap fans is like maybe a new staple of YNR chat. Oh my gosh, I wish I could give gifts to all of you. I wish I could give something to all of you because you've given so much to me. I just can't thank you enough. And I really appreciate the fact that every week you guys are commenting and participating with me. It really adds a lot to my enjoyment of the show and to my life. I'm not gonna lie, like mine our chat's probably my favorite time of the week, and I know so many of you really seem to enjoy it and you incorporate it into your schedule, and I am just so honored that you care enough to have me kind of in your life in this sort of peripheral way. I can't believe anybody cares about anything I have to say. But I care about what you have to say, so give me your comments on the show for this week. You can go to yrchat.com. You can leave a comment on the blog. You can find my Facebook and Twitter links from there. You can call in and leave a voicemail either through the website or directly to 309-588-4569. Again, it's 309-588-4569 if you want to leave a short voice clip. I love hearing from you guys. You knock my socks off with all of your crazy wild theories. And let's see, so I guess that's it. I'll be back next week and we'll chat about the show then. Okay, you guys, I love you. Bye.